Coming to us live from the land of the free and the home of the brave, Jonathan Ailing from Free Speech Union. It's kind of like Free Speech Corner, the American edition. Jonathan, kia ora. Thank you for your time today.
Always a pleasure. Greetings from Washington, D.C. No one does free speech like the Americans, as they say. So it's great to be here again.
Yeah, I'm not I'm not sure there's totally always good examples of that, but we'll get to that in a moment. Now, what we're talking about today, nothing to do with the Americans, but all to do with a series of debates that the Free Speech Union is hosting in different parts of New Zealand, different topics. Some great topics, by the way. We'll get to some of those in a moment. But first up, I don't know if you've got the memo on this, Jonathan, but this isn't how we do debates anymore. What we do, and if we've got an important, contentious issue that people have strong opinions on, what we have, we get everybody with the same opinion gathered together in a hall, and then we have a group of people with the opposite opinion standing outside the hall yelling loudly and saying that those people in the hall shouldn't be allowed to talk to each other. Isn't that how we do debate now? Isn't this the new way of doing things? What's your thoughts?
Call us old-fashioned, but we almost enjoy hearing from people who think differently to us. So we're suckers for punishment, some might say. But no, we actually think that the state of debate in New Zealand is not fit for purpose. We need to be working better at being able to engage with opinions that we may not agree with, that we don't hold ourselves, but hearing from others either has the opportunity to confirm why we're right or, God forbid, possibly teach us something new. So we're hoping in the context of, of course, you're referring to one particular subject and form of debate that's been going around the country, but it's not the only example. No. We see it unfortunately commonly now.
And not just in New Zealand. We haven't got the exclusive on it. They're very capable of doing it in the United States, as I'm sure you've found out. However, starting off the debate series... starting off the debate series in Dunedin, they love a good argument in Dunedin, and you're actually hosting the debate. You're emceeing, as it were.
That's right. So we're going to be holding 4 debates around the country ahead of the election on issues that we believe Kiwis really deserve the right to hear more about. I think there are a number of contentious subjects that we would benefit from exploring more thoroughly and just opening up that discussion. So we're bringing in some expert debaters, experts in these fields to make their case and let the Kiwi public decide. These are televised live. They're going to be going out around the country, but we will be in person at university campuses in Dunedin, in Wellington, in Hamilton, and in Auckland. So if you want to hear more about this, you should be on our mailing list. You can sign up to that at fsu.nz/subscribe. If you want to send our team a message, you can contact us on Facebook or contact us via email at team@fsu.nz. But really what we're wanting to do is allow people to hear opinions that they may not be hearing at the moment. Our first debate is the mood is the government should lead in the fight to net zero. And this is not a debate about climate change, about whether it exists or not, but it is about who is the best actor to be advancing our response to this issue. And at the moment, I think there's a lot of bluster on one side and just as much on the other. But let's hear the facts. Let's hear some really invested parties make the case for why the government should or shouldn't be leading in this fight. Other issues like on our tax policy, whether it's fair for the rich to pay the amount that they do, on co-governance, whether one person, one vote silences Indigenous voice. And the last debate is #no debate. Some issues are too sensitive to discuss. I want to hear from experts claiming that we should not be debating certain issues. Let's hear what they have to say, and then we get to make our minds up.
Because this is the problem for people, because these are all hot-button issues, really. If somebody has one particular view on it, I mean, there's no point in them protesting outside that you're having these conversations, because there's going to be somebody that agrees with them in the hall arguing on their behalf, as it were.
That's right. That's right. So go in and support those people. Look, what we're trying to do here is really promote the value of persuasion. So we're basing this off the Monk debates, what's a system of debate that's been held in Canada and Toronto for over a decade now. And polling is done of the audience, of both the audience in the events and the live audience via television. You'll have a chance to say which way you think about the debate moods. And then you hear from the experts, you hear from the debaters, and then we'll ask you again at the end. And the winners of the debate are not those with the highest support, but those who have changed the most people's minds. And what we're trying to do is really promote this idea that through reason, through persuasion, we can actually convince one another instead of banging our fists on the table and simply screaming louder than the other side. So even if you think some of these debates aren't going to be productive or aren't being backed by the right side, whatever your perspective may be there, come along, have your voice heard through that polling, and you can participate in that way.
How optimistic are you, Jonathan, that people with a particular view on a hot button issue are going to go along to a debate, hear the opposition's arguments and change their minds? Do we still live in a society where that's even possible? What's your thoughts?
Look, I'm young enough and perhaps naive enough to still have hope that there is a future for public discourse. I'm hopefully old enough and not too naive to also know that it's bloody hard to change people's minds.
Yeah.
And that's not just today. Let's not pretend like in the past we lived in this perfect place where we were all so reasonable and open-minded. I don't think that was the case. It's always been really hard work to maintain social cohesion, to get people with differing perspectives to come together and hear the other side. Listening has never been something humans have done really well in our public societies.
Yeah.
But these are still features that lead towards stability and prosperity and peace. And so even though it's hard work, I think we've got to keep at it. And the way we've come to these subjects is out of the work we do for academic freedom. We're really concerned that the university at the moment is one of the areas that is sowing the most animosity towards free speech. And that is expressed even against academics. We release a survey every year. We discussed this a couple of weeks back, Andrew. And what we discussed there was a culture of fear that many academics exist under. So we looked at some of the key subjects that they felt like they couldn't speak out on and said, well, let's get an opportunity for the public to hear both sides. That's what the university should be doing. At the moment, I don't think we see them succeeding in that. So thankfully, three universities have opened their doors to us. We'll be hosting our debates at 3 universities. The fourth one, it's such a hot topic. I think we had to go into a private venue and take away the potential for being cancelled. But that means the event still will be going ahead.
Hey, fantastic stuff. Now, you'll be hosting the first one. There's various hosts. There's a high caliber of contributors as well. There's academics, as you say. There's politicians involved in this one. There's various people with strongly held views on either side. This isn't just an intellectual exercise. These people are passionate about what they believe and why. Should be for some fun conversations, Jonathan.
Absolutely. We're thrilled with the debaters that we've had participate. As you say, members of parliament like Simon O'Connor, Simon Courts, journalists like Josie Begani is going to be moderating.
Yep.
Damien Grant is one of the contributors. Activists, James Cockle, who at the moment is leading Passenger Rail New Zealand. So they're the ones going around gluing their hands to highways. Let's hear from him and understand why he thinks this is an effective way to prosecute the environmental cause. So we're thrilled with the people that we have engaging, people that a lot of your listeners might agree with, a lot of your listeners won't agree with, and that's the point. Let them make their case, and then you get to decide.
So tickets for the event, fsu.nz, of course, the website, full information there about what's happening, when and where. We won't get into the dates and numbers, but people can find information there. Can they book tickets there as well if they want to be live and in person for the debates?
Absolutely. You can find us on social media, Free Speech Union New Zealand, at fsu.nz. Send us an email at team@fsu.nz if you want. And make sure you get a ticket. We've got big venues for these, to have a big crowd, to have a big impact for public discourse. So we hope you can make it.
Jonathan, appreciate your time. Thanks for what you do. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Andrew.